to another up close video. So I get a lot of questions on my videos asking what this orange machine is that I use for my die cutting, and it is the Tonic Tangerine Die-Cutting Machine. So on one side it says Tonic Studios and then it has the Tangerine name, and it is finally back in stock on the Tonic UK and Tonic USA websites. So I thought I'd do a little up close video to explain more about the machine, because a lot of people don't seem to have seen it before, because it hasn't been available to buy for quite some time actually. I think it's been over a year. So I just wanted to let you all know like how brilliant a machine it is. I mean, obviously you can tell that I love using this machine because it's like 95% of my videos since I've had it have been using the Tangerine. So when you get it in the box, there's also this part here that I need to show you too. So if I this. Okay, so when you get it in the box, the bottom of the machine looks like this, and that ring would be flat on it. But all you do is you pick that ring up and then you unscrew it. Sorry, it's quite a heavy machine. You unscrew it a little bit and then you twist this 90 degrees, and it says here, oh no, that's a spare, oh that's cool, spare feet. So if you ever lose any of these feet, these two little rubber ones here are supposed to be spare feet to put on these, which is brilliant. I didn't notice that before. But anyway, this is an extra foot to stop it from moving on your desk, and all you do is you just tighten this piece off once you've moved it to 90 degrees and then push that back down. So now when this is flat on your table, you have this extra foot which is keeping it really nice and steady for you. So I'll just flip it back over. So now we have that keeping it really steady. You can see the foot sticking out there, and you can see from looking above this hasn't got a very big footprint. I really love my Spellbinders Platinum and Platinum 6 and the Deep Sea one as well, but depending how you work and what kind of space you have, it has those ones have smaller footprints like when you're not using them. However, they have one of those beds that flaps down, but with the Tangerine you don't have that. So it's a great machine if you don't have that much space, or if you work just on your glass cutting mat like I do. You only have to clear as much space to fit the machine like sideways on your mat, rather than having to clear the whole mat off so you can flip the sides down, which is why I use this one a lot. But also it cuts amazingly and the plates do not warp at all. I've had the same plates, okay, I have got a new set now, but I'll tell you why in a minute. But I've had the same plates since I've had it, maybe 2 years I've had this machine now, and they have not warped at all, they've not cracked or anything. And you know how much I die cut, because, you know, obviously doing all my videos and design team stuff, I do a lot of die cutting. So it's a really high quality machine, and it's quite hefty as well, so it stays nice and still when you're putting your dies through it. You don't have to put too much pressure on the handle to hold the machine still. You can just sort of rest your hand on it and turn the machine. You also, the great thing about it is you have these rubber pieces here, which means that when you're putting all of your dies and stuff onto your plate, you can rest it on top and it's really sturdy. And you can just rest your plates on top. A lot of the machines have a curved top, which makes them look a lot prettier, but it's not very functional. But having that flat top is so useful, and even when I'm not using my die cutting machine and I'm like working on something else, I often use this as a surface just to pile up like stamp sets and bits and pieces. So it's a really great space saver, because you can actually use the top of it to keep a pile of stuff on when you're not doing that much die cutting. So also when you take it out of the box, you have the handle and the Allen key. I can't remember exactly what instructions you get in the box and everything, but I'm pretty sure there was an instruction manual, because, you know, I've had it for quite a while now. But I'm pretty sure the instruction manual tells you how to do it. But all you do is, you see there's this little hole on one side of the handle. That is the perfect size for the little Allen key that you get. And you want to put the handle on the spindle. If I can tip this up, you can see that the spindle has two slightly flat sides to it, and then inside, or with the actual handle, you want this hole piece to line up with one of the flat sides. That's how it's going to screw in tighter. So you want to put that on, making sure that hole was one of the flat sides, and then it's kind of difficult to show because it's so heavy. If I lay it on its side, maybe you could just do this standing up, but for me to try and show you, I'm going to do it like this. So there's the little hole. You want to put the Allen key in, and you want to turn it to the right and keep tightening it until it's nice and tightly on there. There we go. So that's nice and tight on there. Over time, especially if you die cut as much as I do, this might come a little bit loose and the handle might come off, but all you do is just make sure you keep your Allen key and you can just easily tighten it up again. Also, if you travel with your machine, or maybe you're going through a phase of not doing much die cutting and you don't want the handle to be there because it's in the way, you can just undo that and take the handle off as well, so it's not poking out at you. So that is how you put the handle on, and then you want to keep this as well. I have a money box on my shelf and I just keep it inside there so I know where that is. Then the machine also comes with all of the plates that you need as well, which is brilliant, and it even comes with an embossing folder plate. So you get the white plate is your base plate, the orange plate is your cutting plate, you can see mine's very well loved, the pink plate is your embossing folder plate, and then you have a green plate, which should say on it what it is, which is the die embossing plate, and then you have your green rubber mat as well. And I'll quickly run through the sandwiches, although I'm pretty sure it did come with a leaflet or a piece of paper or something that told you what the sandwiches are. But if you just want to cut a die, you use the white and the orange, and you place the cutting edge of the die into the orange and you put the white base plate on top and you run it through. It doesn't matter whether the orange is on top or the white is on top, just as long as the cutting edge of the die is going into your orange plate, then that's how you cut a normal die. If you wanted to emboss a normal die, you would take the green plate and the rubber mat, you would place your cutting edge of the die into the green plate. Even though you're not cutting, you want to place the cutting edge into the green plate because that will then press into the rubber mat and it won't cut into any of your plates. And then you use the base plate on top of that. So you use both green plates and the white plate to emboss a die. Then, if you have any of the Tonic media dies, you use this same sandwich that you would use to emboss a die, so both the green mats and the white one. However, you take the green rubber mat out and you replace it with a metal shim. You can use any metal shim that you have, but Tonic do sell an A5 metal shim, which is also great for hot foiling. If you have like the Go Press and Foil machine, I use one of these on that as well. But you need one of these metal shims if you're using the Tonic media dies, which look like this in this kind of packaging. And the way this sandwich is made up is it doesn't matter if your green plate or your white plate is on the top or the bottom, because as long as the cutting edge of your media die is going into your metal plate, then both your other plates will be absolutely fine. So you make sure this cutting edge is going into the metal plate, and then you sandwich it between your green and your white plate, and that will perfectly cut out your media dies for you. And the reason you need the metal shim is not because you need the extra pressure to get the die to cut, it's because the cutting edge of a media die is so thick. If you cut into like your normal cutting plate or either of these cutting plates, it would take a big gouge out of your plates, which, you know, is going to weaken the plate because you're making a massive gouge into it, and it's also, you know, it's going to impress onto your cardstock if you're then using that plate again. So that is the sandwich for any of the Tonic media dies. And then if you want to use an embossing folder, you obviously want to use the embossing folder plate, which is the dark pink one, and then depending on the thickness of your folder, you either want to use the orange plate or the white plate, or sometimes even the green plate, depending if you're using like one of those 3D embossing folders. But if you're using the Tonic ones, I'm pretty certain it's the white and the pink together, but whichever brand you're using, you can just experiment mixing up the white plate, the orange plate or the green plate with the pink plate to get your perfect embossing sandwich. Okay, so those are all the plates. However, I get a lot of questions of people saying, what are the little plates that I'm using through my Tangerine? Now, to begin with, I was using, if any of you remember the Spellbinder's Grand Calibur die-cutting machine, you used to be able to get a set of junior plates for that. And I don't know if they sell the Grand Calibur anymore, but on the Spellbinder's website, and I'll make sure to put it in the links below the video in the description and also on my blog, they now sell the, I think it's called like Fun Stamper's Journey, and they did a version of the Grand Calibur, and they sell the set of their junior plates, which are slightly different colours to the junior plates of the Grand Calibur, but as long as you use the cutting plate and the base plate, that will go through this machine, either portrait or landscape through the machine. And if you had the junior plates from the Spellbinder's Grand Calibur, again, the base plate and the cutting plate will work through this. Or if you have like a husband or a dad that has, or if you like using like DeWalt's and stuff in the garage, you can just cut your tonic plates in half. So this is my original cutting plate and base plate for my tonic Tangerine, and I just got my dad to cut them in half. And I mean, you can see, I mean, this is cut in half, but this was my original plate and there is still no warping, and I probably use them even more now because they're smaller, you know, you can run them through a lot quicker. And I mean, I cut through this maybe 6 months ago, and you know, I've been using this one since then, and that's how much wear this one has already got, and it's still totally flat as well. So that's what I love about this machine. It might, I mean, I know it's a manual machine and it is quite got quite a high price point, but when you get this home you'll realise why it's such a high price point, because the heft of it, it's not going to go anywhere, it's not going to walk across your desk while you're die cutting. You don't need to put too much pressure on it while you're running the plates through, because I know a lot of people, if you have problems with your hands, I know some of you will have to use an electronic one, but my mum had my Grand Calibur when I got my Cuttlebug, and she used to find it really difficult to hold the Grand Calibur still while she ran the plates through. But with the Tangerine, because it's such a hefty weight, you really don't have to put too much pressure on it whilst you're running the plates through. It's not going to walk across your desk. And also it cuts so smoothly, like the rollers inside it are so chunky and well made that it doesn't seem to matter where on the plate you put your dies. Like with the Grand Calibur, you used to have to, if it was a really detailed one, you have to run it through lengthways on the side of the plate. Occasionally you have dies like that with Tonic that you might need to do that too, just because they're so intricate. But you can literally place any die anywhere on the plate, and I found that it cuts perfectly. So that's why I'm always using my Tangerine in my videos. And what else was I going to say? Oh yeah, so the reason why it's got a high price point as well is because everything is like super duper quality, and you can tell with the plates they don't warp even after years of die cutting. For somebody who does like die cutting and crafting as their job and literally die cuts every single day, and the plates just don't warp at all. So obviously you're paying a higher price to begin with, but it means that you're not going to have to buy plates very often, or if ever. Unless you want to cut some of them in half and have half-sized ones. But if you don't have the means to be able to cut the plates in half by yourself, I'll make sure definitely to link the Spellbinder's junior plates below, because they work absolutely perfectly through the machine as well. So I hope you enjoyed this up-close look at the Tonic Tangerine. I just get so many questions about this machine that I wanted to make a little video so that any of you that watch my videos that wonder what this machine is, you know exactly what it is now. And like how good of a machine it is as well. I mean, I could sit here and die cut like loads of different dies for you, but you can literally just go back and watch all my videos. I usually leave practically all of the die cutting in because I just speed them up, and you know, you can see for yourself just how well they cut as well. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm filming it on Saturday and I'm going to try and get it edited now, because the machines are back in stock and I don't want them to go out of stock before I put the video up. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again in the next video. Bye!